It is virtual Sunday sit-down time. With me this week is PowerMizzou.com publisher Gabe DeArmond. Let's get straight into it. Jumping right in here, how has Power Mizzou navigated through this pandemic?
Not well at times. There just hasn't been a whole lot. I mean, we spent the first few weeks kind of going back doing old stuff. I mean, luckily I've been around a while, so I've got some sense of things that happened, for more than a couple years. So we went back and did some old stuff. We talked to some people on Zoom, stuff like that. But really, for the last 2.5 months, it's just mostly been every day talking about whether or not they're going to play football. And it appears now they are, at least a little bit. So we'll see what happens.
Well, I, as the video journalist now, get to go to a couple practices a week. So I've been out there like 2 or 3 times a week. We get about 20, 30 minutes. But you guys aren't allowed out there. How and I'm not saying like I know anything more than you do about the football team, because we see them stretch and they do a couple things, but for you even more so to not even be out there, how do you cover the team, and you're doing a lot better job than we are, and how are you able to overcome that and still provide good information?
Well, you're relying so much on what people tell you, right? And I always told people, even when we could cover camp, like going back to the days when Pinkel would let us live everything from practice. I mean, we were doing play-by-play from practice at times, basically during scrimmages. Even then, I told people, take everything we say with a grain of salt, because this is a fraction of the information, So just because a kid looks good the couple days we're there doesn't mean he's a starter. And just because a kid doesn't look great doesn't mean he's never going to play. Well, now we don't even have that fraction of information, right? We're basically relying on Eli Drinkwitz and these players and the assistants to be telling us the truth on Zoom calls.
Any hunch as to who the quarterback might be, just maybe based on what we saw last year? Do you think that'll have anything to do with who gets the job this year?
All of us seem to answer this question with, we think it's Sean Robinson, right? So do I, but why? I mean, we base that on nothing. I've never seen the kid play. He's played 2 years of college football, so he has a leg up, but if you're honest, they weren't very good. I mean, you look at his TCU career, and it wasn't great. So I think we base it on 2 things. He's actually played college football, and he was a 4-star recruit.
The Mizzou football team on Friday, they canceled their practice, of course. What were some of your takeaways from your conversations with the players and Coach Drinkwitz yesterday on kind of what they were going for there to try to promote social justice, and what's next, you think?
Well, the most common response I got after that from people who, I mean, don't get me wrong, I think there are a lot of people who are good for them, can appreciate what they're doing, all that. But even the people that support it, I think, are looking at it a little bit and going, okay, so Missouri skipped a practice on August 28th. What's the goal here? What does that do? And I think what it does, first of all, is there are people who now at least are paying attention to what they're saying that weren't paying attention to it before. I thought talking to Larry Roundtree and Nick Bolton particularly, they were both really good. And, just bring up the point, which is what I've always thought about this, even going back to 2015, which was received so much differently than this has been. But my thought always was, look, if you support Larry Roundtree when he's running for 232 yards, then you have to support his right to do this. Now, you don't have to agree with why he's doing it. You don't have to think it's going to change the world, whatever. But you have to support his right to do it. You can say, shut up and play, and I don't want that in my sports, but it's here, and it's not going to go away anytime soon. And personally, I think that's good.
Well, Gabe, you took some action on this earlier this summer when you created a scholarship for Power Mizzou. How's the scholarship doing right now, and do you think it'll how do you think it'll make a difference, I guess?
Yeah, it was, I just kind of thought, hey, what can we do? I know a lot of people who went through this J school. And so I actually got a huge response. I think last time I looked at it's like $52,000 committed. It's already over the point where it's endowed by the university, which basically means this is just going to go on for however, I don't know, maybe forever. I don't know. It's going to go to a minority school student in the J school every year. Hopefully help some of these kids go pay for school and get an internship with our site. And hey, might even mean I have to work less, which it's win-win, man.
Absolutely. That's
maybe I'll have them do Sports Zone next time.
Yeah, we'll have fun. Yeah, absolutely. That's good stuff. Just Coach Drinkwitz, your thoughts on him. He hasn't played a game, but it seems like he's made more waves than maybe even Barry Odom did in his time at Mizzou. How has he been able to do that, and what do you think?
Well, he's done everything right so far, right? I mean, everything a fan would want him to do, he's done. I've covered this football and basketball largely for 18 years. He is the most entertaining coach to cover. I mean, I always say, like, I could write Gary Pinkel's press conferences before they started. And Barry made Pinkel look exciting, to be quite honest. When it doesn't mean he's a bad coach or anything, but just, in front of a microphone was not the strongest part of his tenure, I think. And so I think Drinkwitz is good at PR. He gets social media, all that. He's done everything anybody would want him to do. And again, Alabama, Tennessee, LSU, we'll see if – and look, at the reasonable expectation, I assume, is 0-3 to start. And I think fans understand, even if this was a normal year, I would think fans would kind of understand some growing pains. But given what's happened so far this year, I don't even think the record matters. Like, if you can just play games, I think that's a victory.
Thanks so much to Gabe DeArmond for coming on the show, giving us his insight. Love the backdrop he had. I need to get one of those for myself at home. We'll be right back after this.